All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. We're on air. Thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I love you. I admire you. I've looked up to you for so many different things, and it's a pleasure. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for inviting me.
All right, let's get started with the conversation that we are having, right? You were suggesting I should read.
Well, you should generally read. I think it's a great medium of gaining more knowledge, getting insight on someone's life. Nowadays when someone asks me or I ask someone who your mentor is, I think we're living in an age where the plethora of knowledge that exists on the internet and what you're able to pick and choose from the different leaders, different entrepreneurs, can really mold you into a much, much more powerful leader. And that's why I suggested reading is great.
Yeah,
but we were in the topic of reading, the Gita.
Yeah.
And you had said you're not too religious. I said the Gita has nothing to do with religion. It's got to do with a certain way of life. And I'd suggested that if you were to read the Gita, don't read the Bhagavad Gita, read the Ashtavakra Gita.
And I was like, why specifically Ashtavakra Gita?
So, the Bhagavad Gita is basically based on a pretext between a conversation with Lord Krishna, with Lord Arjun in the middle of a battlefield, right? Where Lord Krishna is riding the chariot and, Arjun's with his bow and arrow, going mental berserk.
Yeah.
And Lord Krishna is continuously telling him about the various facets, aspects of life, the meaning of life. And he's just, Lord Arjun is just not able to accept it. Lord Arjun is not able to understand it so much. Until the time I think they reach chapter 12th or 13th, that, Lord Krishna literally says that, Arjun, now you please keep quiet, trust me and listen to me and just accept what I'm saying, right? So it's in that pretext, but the message is pretty much the same. Ashtavakra, on the other hand, is very contextually relating to Nepal because it's based on a preset of, King Janaka, right? Janak Raja. One day he was very hungry and, he was in his king's court and he was listening to various people's complaints, suggestions, blah, blah, but he suddenly fell off to sleep.
Yeah.
And in his dream, subconsciously, he reached this village. And even in his dream, if you're hungry, you're subconsciously also hungry.
Of course.
And he asked for some food and someone gave him a loaf of bread. Now, as a king, you're magnanimous to be sharing the first piece of food with everyone, right? That's what a good king does. But what did he do? He was so hungry, he hid that loaf of bread in his cloak and he went up this hill so that he could eat that loaf of bread alone. As soon as he opened his cloak to take out that loaf of bread, this crow just came, snatched it and went off. And with that shock, he woke up.
Yeah.
Now, Janak Raja didn't know whether that was his real life or this is his real life. Or that was what he was dreaming or is he dreaming now?
Right now, yeah.
So he called for all the, the wise guys, the pundits, the sages to say, please try and convince me. What is
Real
going
and
on? What is the meaning of life? What are we all aspiring for? Dozens of people came in. He wasn't convinced. Suddenly, there was a person with 8 deformities in his body who walked into his palace. So 8 deformities means Ashtavakra. Ashta means 8, Vakra means joints, right? So he walked in and Janak Raja just looked at him and immediately found that aura and that energy and submitted himself to Ashtavakra. The sage Ashtavakra. Immediately put him on his throne. He sat down while Ashtavakra told him the entire essence and meaning of life. So imagine the same meaning and same message that the Bhagavad Gita tells you, Ashtavakra tells you, but in a context of a palace environment where there's peace, there's serenity. In the context of a king submitting to a normal living rishi, a sage. The meaning is the same, but the environment and how it's said, I think has a profound impact and effect of Ashtavakra. So that would be my suggestion to you.
I definitely will. I just want to let everybody know as well as thank you for giving me so much advice in a span of such a short span. You gave me so much advice today, which I'm going to utilize each and every one of it for coming from you. I'm going to make sure that I utilize it to the most of my ability. Time is something that is is the most precious thing to me in my life. As soon as you're born, everything starts ticking. How do you, again, we were talking about this off air. I asked you a simple question: how many meetings do you have every day? And you were telling me, this amount of meetings, but I keep it short. Let's tell everybody, how do you manage time?
See, before managing time, it's very important to look at two aspects of life, right?
Yeah.
And I always give the analogy of this marble in a jar.
Marble in a jar.
Yeah. Okay. So suppose you have a jar. It's a see-through glass jar. And you get marbles, different size marbles. So for every individual, you have different priorities, different aspirations, different goals, different things you want to achieve in your life. So you got to first identify that. So for example, for me, health comes right below my family, my company's well-being, my aspirations individually as a leader, my hobbies, my friends around me, my dream of traveling around for holiday, whatever, individual. You got to place that in a jar. You got to identify what those priorities for you are. The most important one goes right below as a foundation, and then you fill up a jar depending on the other facets in your life. Right?
Yeah.
And then you take a glass of sand and you pour it in the jar.
In the jar.
The sand is going to go and settle wherever, find its way and settle. That's everything else apart from the marbles that you've selected. The marbles stay intact. So you've got to first define what your priorities are. Second thing, you can also take an analogy of your life as a tent, right? Again, your 4 pillars, what holds the tent. So again, can be your health, can be your aspirations of a leader, of an individual, can be your education of your children, whatever, can be your growth of your company, right? So once you've identified the 4 pillars in your life, the most important pillar is the one that goes in between, right? What is that for you? Once you've identified these non-negotiable priorities or desires or your priorities in life, I think the rest of the thing just falls into place. Then you don't spend time wasting in things that are of inconsequential to you or are not of priority to you.
Yeah.
The minute you start doing that, you start using your time much, much more effectively, much more efficiently, right? Now, the way I do it is, for me, spending certain hours of time with my family, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
For me, spending, having my meal at this time, even if I'm eating alone, non-negotiable. For me, spending half an hour to an hour meditating or catching up on my personal stuff, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
In between, I slot in my meetings. In between, I slot in my social affairs, etc., etc. So it's pretty easy per se to do it once you know what your priorities are.
Yeah. Once you know that these are the specific things, then you go ahead and work according to that. Time at the end of the day is always slipping. One thing that everybody constantly, they ask me as well, how do you do so many different things? And I give an example. Forget about me. Look at how Nirvana does everything. I give a lot of people example of how you do it. You're running the biggest business house that we have, your family life. We see everything. We see things that you want to show on Instagram. And I go like, how is he managing time? When is he sleeping? Well, again, we're talking about sleep as well. Let's tell everybody how much you sleep.
So as much as I would like to sleep more, unfortunately, that's one habit I need to work on, right?
Yeah.
I have a habit of sleeping very, very late. So by the time I'm asleep, it's 2 o'clock. I'm up by about 8:15, 8:20. Again, all thanks to technology nowadays, you're able to monitor your health, your sleep, your eating patterns, etc. So I use a lot of technology to monitor my life because I'm constantly trying to improve, set a new benchmarking in my life as well. So as far as I remember, I have been able to follow certain meditative techniques which ensure me that I get into the regularity of sleep, the deep sleep really fast.
Yeah.
Right? It's become a habit now. Yeah. So if you go to my regularity of sleep, I would be having like a 90% regularity. So even if I sleep for 6 hours, it's going to be 90% quality sleep.
Yeah.
But at an average, I think 6.5 hours, which I think it's okay. But again, Sanjay, this morning I was hearing about an incident of of one of my colleagues. Healthy, used to work out, very focused and committed to his work, great family man. And he was sort of a little bit of a workaholic, just really, I won't say, he was definitely passionate, but a workaholic. This morning, gone for a walk, had a heart attack, died.
Wow.
And, found out the reason. He's just not sleeping enough. His body was not recuperating enough. He was not, his mind, our mind and our body are not machines. We need to give it that lag time. We need to give it that rest. Like a CPU machine also, if you keep on putting it on, it'll heat up and get spoiled.
Yeah.
Our body also functions that way. So, I've made up my mind that I need to allocate a little bit more time to myself because the importance of sleep, again, I was spending some time with the founder of Huffington Post, Ariana Huffington, and her life's journey and her life's work is all revolving around the power of quality sleep, of how bigger impact it has in your life, and obviously getting a little bit of impact from hearing her a lot of times. I've realized the importance of it, so I need to work on that.
No, definitely 100%. There are tons of things that I can dive into. There are tons of things. Again, if we can talk about CG, and it's never going to end you into every. If I ever think of a business, into all of it. But I'm sure that people who are watching right now, they definitely want me to talk about YY. So I'm going to jump into this, and I want to get into one incident that, again, I've heard it. I want to hear it from you as well. At one point, you were, again. Let's start off with this. Why? When I say these two words, what comes to your mind at the moment?
What comes to my mind is an opportunity that existed where there was huge demand but a lack of supply. That's what comes to my mind.
Yeah.
When you talk about YY, to me, it's not just noodles. It's about an entrepreneur's journey where he saw Nepalese going to Thailand, bringing cartons of noodles to our airport, and in the baggage claim, seeing cartons of the noodles coming from outside and saying, hey, there's an opportunity in our country. Let's do this. To me, that's when you say YY, that's what comes to my mind. When you say YY, what comes to my mind is that YY, a brand that is 35, 40-year-old brand, it's a brand that is today, if not known globally, it's known regionally very well. And that's a brand built by the students and the kids that went outside to study. They're real YY's brand ambassadors. They're the ones who made YY famous outside. We went to boarding school. I went to boarding school when I was at the age of 6. We used to get YY. We used to take home from YY, but I never used to have YY myself. But anyone tried that product and was like, wow, next time you come, please get me another carton. Okay, here, I'll give you Cadbury or I'll give you some other product. Please give me YY. And just caught on like that. So when you talk about YY, the real brand ambassadors of YY, the generation that grew up with YY, that took YY beyond Nepal. That's what comes to my mind.
There's a story that I know. I don't know if a lot of people know this or not. From 1996 to 2006, we had Insurgency at this time, right? There's a story of you, YY, and I'm sure a pickup truck. When the Insurgency was happening as well, there was a moment in your life when, of course, you were in trouble as well, right? At one point with the Maoists as well. Something had happened. I've heard this story. I really don't know much about it. Do you want to share a little bit on this?
Sanjay, frankly speaking, there's one thing I'm really proud of. But even throughout the insurgency, right, throughout the civil war, throughout lockdowns, throughout curfews, our plants, and I'm not talking about YY, I'm talking about our plants all across the country, has never been shut even for a day.
Not even for a day?
Not even for a day. I don't know, I guess because, it's not only because of Maoists or anyone else, I guess they really believed that a company like ours was providing such large number of employment and was providing a wholesome meal for such an affordable price. That was a necessity in everyone's life all across the country.
Sure.
But I think what I can relate from what you were asking me is, so when I came back to Nepal, I was 19 and a half, right?
Yeah.
And obviously coming in an organization, a company that was built by my grandfather, my father, I'm just not going to get a desk.
Yeah.
For me, I need to prove myself. So what was I doing in the peak of the insurgency in 2001? I was out in the field. From Mechi to Mahakali, I was in pickup trucks. I was in Tata Mobile vans. I was going across all markets. I knew that after a certain time there was curfew, or suddenly we had to go back to the hotel room after going for market visit because there was sudden shootout between the army and the Maoists. And sure, that was one experience that I had. But on hindsight, during that time, what I remember and what I take it to my heart and my best learning experience was not the fright and the chaos that was going into my mind because of this insurgency.
Yeah.
It was that gave me an opportunity to really explore my country. That gave me an opportunity to really find out the nooks and corners of the potential our country has.
Yeah.
And today, since the time I've sort of step by step tried to prove myself within the organization, I've tried to get into those areas, as a first mover advantage, and then tried to bring world-class products at affordable rates here. That's what gave me an exposure.
At that time.
Yep.
Both sides, again, I'm gonna still talk about this for just a second. Both sides ate Wi-Fi, at that time. And you were out there making sure that it got delivered to everybody. Now in 21st century, now in 2021, we're right here, couple of days back. This is not even a week, 10 days ago, when CG Net came to play, it bombarded the market, let me say this. It started off, I saw it on your Instagram, and then I started seeing on every meme pages, everywhere. CGNet was everywhere. Let's tell everybody a little bit about CGNet.
So,
how did it come to play?
I'll tell you. So, I have personally had an aspiration. So, let me go again a way back, right?
Yeah.
When I was 15, I was studying in London. I was doing my high school there. And I knew I had to get into the family business, but I had zero interest in business per se. I thought I'm going to, become a professional squash player, a Formula One driver, or even like
a DJ maybe.
Maybe, or maybe, Godfather of Mario Puzo. At that age, you think of all these stuff. Yeah. But I knew that I had expectations of me being the eldest in my generation to get into business. Now, if I had to get into business, I had to go that one step ahead in ensuring that I started to understand it. So instead of coming back home for holidays, I was working in an investment bank during the day and a Nepali restaurant at night.
Yeah, in London, right?
Yeah. That's a different story, but I'll tell you where this came from. So while I was going through an experience of working in various mutual funds, hedge, forex department, treasury, blah, 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 my boss suddenly said, okay, make a portfolio. And, gave me a $5 million portfolio. It's not Yahoo money. It's real money of someone who's worked hard.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, you design a portfolio for it. Now, a naive 15-year-old I asked myself a question. Okay, you know what? There's probably some guy who's made this money all his life. And he's thinking back home that he's left it into a professional investment banker's hand, not knowing that it's in the hand of a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
So I asked myself, okay, if tomorrow the world was to get into another world war, or they used to have famine, or an infectious disease that we're having now, what are the sectors that were not going to get affected? So there's a 15-year-old thinking, right? So I'm like, irrespective of whatever happens, people will not stop eating.
Always.
Irrespective of whatever happens, and that time, this was in the year 1998, so Nokia phones had just come. Communications had started to come, and I'm like, man, this is only going to evolve. People are not going to stop communicating with each other. And the third thing was, I thought of countries like ours where we did not have the adequate energy. Power cut by around 16. And we used to have, we didn't have lack of infrastructure, bridges, roads, all. I'm like, there must be companies doing all of that. So I made up my mind. So anyway, I put my money there and put 25% in capital protected deposit, right? One of the biggest fall of capital market happened in 99. Market was down 45%. My boss's portfolio was down 80%. My portfolio was up 25%. I mean, although she got the bonuses for it, but I had a great learning from that exercise. And that's where my entire conviction on these three different industries came in. And so from that age, I've been like, we're already into food. We're expanding into food. We are now into energy, energy, construction, building materials. I have to get into communications.
Yeah.
And my entire dream and my passion started from there. Okay? And in 2012, we acquired an American company here because there was no licenses. So we had to go into a rural telephony license, which we fulfilled all the criteria. And, the regulators told us, go ahead, you need to start a telco. But for reasons which I'm sure everyone knows, because there are only two players in a monopoly market today, we were not given the license.
This is in 2012.
No, post-2012, there were individuals who pretty much took our file, kept it with them, no one could do anything. We went into court. Court decided to tell the regulators. Regulators made sure no decision was happening, etc. But we never gave up. I never gave up.
You still haven't? Yeah.
Absolutely not. In fact, now, we feel so proud whenever our company goes outside. More than the company, I love putting our country's flag in that country,
of course,
in that plant. And now our company's already got telecom companies outside.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got that knowledge, that capacity we are building for it. That the day we get our telecom license here, we're going to just go all out.
Yeah.
Why? If you look at South Asian market, the highest telecom data rates, call rates, highest EBITDA margin of telecom companies exists in Nepal. 65% margin. What is our data penetration? 60%. What is our ISP penetration? 28%. Okay, what are we talking about digital Nepal? What are we talking about creating an economy based around digital technology? If we do not have affordable, accessible data in everyone's hand, okay, what did Jio do? No one wanted Jio to come. Jio was blocked for 4 years. Okay. Eventually, when they come, they disrupted the market. Why? Because they brought in latest, newer technologies. Technology was evolving, and they did not have legacy infrastructure with them. Like today, if you look at the telecom companies, they have landline, they have 2G, they have 3G, they have CDMA, they have WiMAX. The world's already moving towards 5G, man. So how will they be able to sustain that cost of that infrastructure and that people and compete with the new entrant?
Impossible.
So that's where I came in. Okay. And obviously my telecom license is not blocked, but I'm the only company that has 0 dues left.
Okay. License
is not issued. So it's an analogy where I've been taught at a university. I've passed all my classes. I've already got my all my marks where I'm done very well. And literally it said excellent work, all of that. And I have no tuition fees left to be paid, but my degree they've not given. Okay?
That's the only thing that's left.
That's the only thing. But luckily, from that license, I was able to start ISP. Because that didn't need me to get frequency and all of that. So I went in immediately. And I realized that, with the ISP penetration rate of 30%, during COVID time, everyone's at home.
Everybody.
But everyone's here. And when we launched CGNet, we are launching at the latest technology, of 5G ready technology. Where tomorrow when telecom comes, boom, we're on. Everyone's asking me, how come you're selling so cheap? I'm like, guys, I'm not selling cheap. Everyone else is selling more expensive, man.
So this is the actual rate. This is actually how we are headed towards.
This is, okay, let me give you another example, right?
Yeah.
You are buying 1,000 mangoes. Okay? I'm buying 10 mangoes. Are your price and my price going to be the same?
Of course not.
You're going to get much cheaper, right?
Yeah.
That means if you consume huge wholesale bandwidth, your rate is going to be half of mine. I'm just starting. I've just got one mango with me. My rate is much higher. Even with that high rate, I'm able to provide this service. When my volume builds, my costs are going to come down drastically.
So right now in 999, 120, it's definitely going to go down.
But, that's our aim. Our aim is much, much larger. Much, much larger. Our aim is that this data penetration needs to exceed 100%. Our aim is that people in the remotest part of Nepal should have access to data. Our aim is, like my father said it publicly. We get the license, no voice, no charges for voice, no charges for SMS, data, higher the speed, half the rate. We've done it in ISP.
Yeah. So when are we looking at? This is 2021. Give everybody a fair enough idea. When might this happen? When is it possible? If everything works out, is it possible in a week, in a month, in a year, in 5 years?
If we get a license today, if I get a license today,
Yeah.
6 months to 7 months. If I get a license in early January, hopefully by then CG Net would be all over Nepal. 3 months from then. Because my backbone is ready.
Everything's ready.
That you cannot, no one can stop me in that. So I'm okay. That's fine. But what pisses me off, sorry for...
No, that's fine.
What pisses me off is our citizens are suffering. The people of Nepal are suffering. They were suffering paying these exorbitant ISP rates. They are suffering paying these ridiculously high telecom rates. I want to be able to come there and say, guys, come on. In the process of counting the trees, you're missing out on the forest. If you want a digital economy, a new ecosystem to come, today you are seeing it in, forget anywhere else, you're seeing it in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. I mean, man, the e-commerce or anything to do with technology, they're 10 years ahead of us. And the only reason is because the cost of data is so expensive here. Jio came and disrupted that. 4 years' time, boom. Everyone's got data in their hand.
So it's going to be phenomenal if we start off in, let's say, a month, 3 months.
If I don't know, man. I'm not. We've never ever in our group as a family never ever given up on any of the businesses. There's never been a single business we've exited from. There's not been a single dream we've not stopped dreaming. If we've made up our mind, we're gonna do it. It's just a matter of time. We're gonna do it,
no matter what.
But you know what irritates me? I told you.
Yeah. There's when I was looking at all the business houses and then all the businesses that CG has, and then I was just thinking, this is just me thinking out of the blue. I was like, why isn't airlines there?
Funny thing you ask. So what's the fastest way to become a millionaire? Tell me the fastest way to become a millionaire.
I have no idea, but I know the fastest way to go down the drain. Maybe.
Is to start an airline. Okay. So the fastest way of becoming a millionaire is tell a billionaire to start an
airline, right?
But again, having said that, jokes apart, since the last 7-8 years, we've had aspirations to get into airline. There's a company, I obviously cannot mention the name of the company, but till date, in the Asian context, the top 3 privately owned airline company. The most amazing business model. And even, except for COVID, before that, the most successful airline company. We've actually got an MOU for a joint venture with them. For starting off with 5 aircraft, then next year going to another 4 aircraft. But as usual, bureaucracy kicks in and permissions, this and that. But again, that's one business. Before even entering, we said, let's just keep it on a back burner. At the right time, we'll look into it. And it's becoming more and more possible today because the airline is factored into 2 things. Number one is the type of aircraft you have. So the more aircrafts you have, the more loss-making you will be. Again, applicable to telecom industry as well. The more services you have. And the second one is the cost of fuel. Today, with all these innovative alternative fuels that are coming up through biofuel and all, the cost of flying an aircraft has become so much more cheaper. So it's become far more, the business case has become far more convincing for us to get into this and relook into it again.
So most probably down the road, there's definitely going to be a CG Airlines coming over as well.
There's too many things in the pipeline, but it's definitely there somewhere. There somewhere.
How many packets of YY do we sell again?
So globally, we are selling close to 3 billion now. But that's only 3% of the world's market share, right? But our growth rate is not bad. We've really now got close to 12 plants in India. We are expanding in Nepal with adding 1 more plant every 6 months to a year. We've got plants in Serbia catering to the European countries. We've got Kazakhstan for Central Asia. We've got a plant coming up in Egypt for North Africa and Egypt. We're looking at Latin America now. Our growth rate's not bad. So, our aspirations are much bigger than what we're doing right now.
3 crore, right? That's the population of Nepal, right? Imagine everybody at the end of the day has your SIM. That's what I've been thinking of, because since you mentioned Geo, I just want to talk about this for just a second. Imagine everybody, 76% of Nepali people have smartphones, right? 76%. Imagine the data and the information and that they can get in a split second if everybody has faster internet. I just want to touch bases on this. If the telecom comes, then that's definitely going to increase and people are going to get data and information right away. I don't know why we still don't have it.
5G ready network. 5G is here.
It's already here?
It's already being launched.
Tied up with Huawei, right?
Not really. We've not tied up
okay.
with anyone. Our FTTH was rolled out by Nokia. We'll probably do it with other vendors going forward.
Okay.
We've not tied up with anyone. We were exploring to tie up with Huawei at that time, for sure. They might again do it with them, but we've not tied up. I mean, we don't want to count the chickens before they're hatched, And but again, technology is advanced to such a level. And sometimes we always feel it's a blessing in disguise. That imagine if we did it 2 years ago, we would start up with a 4G network, but supplying mainly 3G. World's already moved to 5G.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. We're not giving up our dreams and our hopes. Let the license come, we'll come with a 5G ready network.
And it transform
5G ready network, that's another 1 hour show for you.
transform the country in the span.
Think about it. Think about these. What 5G ready network does. You can be sitting here in your studio. If you are a specialized expert in cardiology, you've got your computer and your equipment here. Someone's sitting in Dharanlura or in Mount Everest base camp and they have the equipment there. On a latency delay of 0.0001%, 1 second, you can do your operation using connected on 5G. That's the speed level.
And we can bring it right now.
It's already there worldwide. It's already there in our neighboring countries. They've already rolled out. When is it going to come to Nepal? I don't know. I hope it comes fast, man. I really hope it comes. Because, it's one thing is us starting this telecom company, which is painful enough. But even what's more painful is knowing that people out there are not getting the right technology in their hands. Right? They're not getting the right tariffs in their hands. They're not paying for, they're overpaying for a value they're not getting. That's what irritates me the most. Sell telecom services, but sell it at a price that is affordable. That you can compete with, if not globally, even regionally, there can be some benchmarking.
Yeah. How does it feel to hang out with billionaires? I want to talk about this out of the loop. How does it feel to meet Bill Gates? How does it feel to meet Warren Buffett? How does it feel to meet Jack Ma and just have a conversation with him and talk about, I don't know, what do you talk about? How does it go? Hey, how are you? Or how does it go?
So, firstly, I must correct you. I like spending time with more than someone with $1 billion in their bank. I love spending time and meeting people who've touched 1 billion hearts. Okay. You took example of Bill Gates and his ex-wife, Melinda Gates, right? Who I just really, really am fond of. And we've spent some time. She's known as a eternal optimist in the Gates Foundation, right? Okay. And she's like, she just from the heart wants to solve every problem, and she's got the capacity to do it. And I'm like that in a lot of ways. But when I meet someone like that, I mean, I'm in a different realm altogether in my mind and my energy that, gosh, what all can I do in my country? Yeah. And the things I learn from them during the few hours or days or over a period of time in my lifetime, I go back with so much of learning in my life. I mean, there's nothing I want from them, right? Yeah. It's the learning that I've got. Same case of Jack or with anyone else. I mean, Mr. Jack Ma, again, I really feel myself, I'm blessed that I always get to meet amazing people who made transformational differences in everyone's lives globally. What do I learn? What conversation do I have with them? I just pick on their brains. It's like a little student looking at the professor and asking questions. Yeah. But these are questions relating not about geometry or about a math problem. It's a question relating about world problem. It's a question relating about how do you tackle innovation? How do you tackle HR? And they're always so kind in sharing their experiences. And to me, that is priceless. Yeah.
That, no shadow of a doubt on that. I want to jump right away into Bollywood Nepal. Bollywood Nepal initiative, fantastic initiative. Loved it. I'm a part of it as well. Let's tell everybody what exactly it is.
So, Sanjay, I want to share with you something of how Balio Nepal even came up, right?
Yeah.
So, 2010, I'm not even going to go that far. 2010 to 2015, till that time, we're driven by this entire thing in our head that we want to take Nepal to the world. We want to expand, put our Nepal flag, every country that we expand to. If all the international companies can come to Nepal, why can't a Nepali company go?
Yeah.
All our companies or our factories are being headed by people from our country.
Yeah.
We have the adequate expertise, manpower, the know-how, and the innovative skills.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in 2015, we had so that's what we were driven by. 2015, we had an earthquake in Nepal. Okay. Catastrophic earthquake that took lives of 8,000 people, almost 10,000 people, 700,000 homes damaged or destroyed, 3 million kids left without classrooms, okay, without schools. In 2015, my father, my brother, my family, all of us decided, let's see what we can do through our foundation. Because before that, our foundation was doing a lot of work with Professor Yunus in impact investment, education, health, etc., right? We wanted to really test ourselves as an organization, as a CG family, what we could do. When I say family, means just not my relatives, but when every employee of CG we consider as CG family, right? 3 hours of the earthquake, we were able to open up our 15 schools into relief camps. An hour after that, we could ask our healthcare company to provide medical relief, not only here, but to areas that were affected. 15 days of the earthquake on the move, when earthquake was happening, we were able to design, get in the right know-how, design, build the first transitional shelter and give it away. 1 year, almost 3,000 homes given free, 55 schools, 22 digital classrooms, 20 water treatment plants. We rebuilt a completely new village with permanent homes in Sindhu Palchok, adding community centers, all of that, and trained 7,000 people in 1 year. That instance changed all our lives.
True.
Okay. Now our purpose for the growth we want to bring in our group became how the more bigger you become, the more you can do for your country. The more you can give back to your community.
True.
The more you can leverage through the power of your infrastructure and network and the people and what you have. That's why today, whenever we're doing some philanthropic activities, and I'm very passionate about our foundation work, we get into the drawing board. I'm like, okay, this year, 6 areas. Let's focus on that. But it doesn't happen because 9 out of 10 times when people come to ask for help or we see a problem, we feel that our company or our organization or people can tackle that.
Yeah.
So we go ahead and do it. That's why today, the 17 SDGs that you have, Sustainable Development Goals, our company is involved in all the SDGs. Right? Like Harvard Business School has done a case study on us. And that sort of gives us that thing that, oh man, we must be doing something right. But we're just scratching the surface. We've got to do so much more. So when I was spending time with Bill Gates and Ms. Melinda Gates in Seattle, we were trying to explore things, what all we could do. Okay, from their know-how, from their learning experience, from areas where they've tackled and become successful. They've been very successful in eradicating polio in Africa, etc., worldwide. Yeah. What can we do here? And then we realized, you know what? Let's start small, think big. Let's focus on an awareness campaign involving private sector for addressing the stunting issue that exists in women. Right? So we're always looking at the future.
Always.
So imagine if a pregnant woman does not get adequate nutrition in her body during the stage of pregnancy, the child that she gives birth to, becomes a child who does not have the adequate nutrients to become wiser, taller, stronger, more effective. And that has a direct impact on our country in a longer run. Correct?
100%.
So if we were to come up with products that let's say, especially the women already are consuming, eggs, Lito for the kids, or we were exploring different type of products. If we were to work with private sector companies and to be able to tell them, hey, why don't you please work towards, we'll help you, we'll get world-class experts to help you to fortify those products with extra calcium, vitamins, minerals, etc. And if you were to give that to the newborn child or the mother, you'll help in the nutritional value consumption of the intake, right?
Yeah.
So then companies started to join in this initiative.
A lot of companies joined into the initiative.
Yeah, few companies, but still, we've got to make it into a national campaign. How do we make a national campaign? By inviting heroes like yourself. Your voice matters. Your voice is heard by many people who, even if they're not able to make a difference today, they start becoming aware of the problem. Maybe tomorrow they will start doing something which will be part of the solution. So that's what Balio Nepal is all about. But we're very happy that we got into an incubation handholding stage, and we have completely now made it independent. It's running well. They've done some really good programs in Province 4. We started supporting a lot of the Balio 11 cricket initiatives. So that program is something we conceptualized, initiated with the Gates Foundation, and it's become independent, and it's taking off well now.
When it comes to changing the world, right? Changing the country. Earlier you mentioned something that I want to get back on, putting Nepal's flag everywhere. I still remember a new hotel, and then I've Rahul Dai's picture with looking up on Nepal's flag right there. It is a moment not just for CG, not just for you. It's a moment for all of us. I feel like, okay, Nepal's reaching everywhere. How does it feel when you're in a different country and you put up Nepal's flag right there? How does it feel? What goes through your mind at that moment?
So, all that hard work you've done for setting up the plant or acquiring a company or identifying a new business opportunity or whatever the opportunity is, whatever hard work you've done of setting up that infrastructure, putting a team together, you see that flag, you feel your returns come immediately. You feel that, okay, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm content. It's such an amazing feeling. You're seeing the biggest countries' flags there, the countries where we are there, their flags there, and suddenly you see Nepal's flag there. You're like, wow, man. And something I feel so proud about is, we've got a huge diaspora of people from Nepal in the GCC. Sometimes when I'm in Dubai and I'm just entering the hotel and I see, some Nepalese people coming there, and on a weekend, they just come all the way there, just take that selfie with that flag there. It's just, I just go to them and I talk to them and I'm like, wow, how do you guys feel? And they're like, same thing what you said. Yeah. You might have built this hotel, but with this flag, it's something which a Nepali has done it. It's a feeling of, they can go to their peer group friends from Pakistan or India or Bangladesh and say, you see that?
Yeah.
That's built. That's a Nepal flag there. That's a matter of pride, man.
It is. And again, every time I see it, I feel like a part of me is right there. That is very, very important. Again, like I said, there are thousands of things that I want to sit and talk to about. There's one thing that stuck to me. A few days back, we were doing a podcast and we talked about made in Nepal or make in Nepal. That is so important. Some months ago, I was in the import building that we have, the cargo building there. The import side is full of packets, full of packages, shit ton of packages, everywhere, When we go towards the export side, there's barely anything. How do we change it? What should we produce more?
So, Sanjay, this entire Make in Nepal as a campaign, I'm so happy that I'm part of an organization, CNI, Confederation of Nepalese Industries, that have actually conceptualized the entire Make in Nepal campaign. I've got it endorsed by the government now, and now are urging private companies and small and medium enterprises, all of them to adopt the logo, adopt the criteria for becoming part of it, so that a larger level national campaign is done, right? So first part is awareness. First part is ideating it, which goes into conceptualization, which goes into launch. That is already done. Now goes into implementing that idea and that logo, okay, in your product and getting that feel of, okay, I have met with these criterias and I can put that Make in Nepal logo.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's issues got to do with the environment, the way you treat your laborers, there's a whole lot of criteria. Make in Nepal is just not because it's made in Nepal, you can put a logo. No. Make in Nepal logo stands for a lot of things. It stands for best practices globally. It stands for best environmental practices you do globally. It stands for best industrial environment that you create globally. It's a set of benchmark that's been created, right? So I'm really proud of the fact that I've been part of this initiative. Number two, you see, every country is born with an inherent strength. Okay, let me share with you a little joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gods were making all the countries in the world.
Yeah.
And the main god and said, Nepal se maune banaosu.
Oh.
So he went and he said, I'll put the most majestic mountains in this country. I will cover it up with 70% of natural resources. I will make Lord Buddha be born here. Okay, I will put it between the two big, giant, populated countries. I'm gonna have hundreds of rivers flowing for hydropower. He was going on and other gods were like, hey, hold on, man. What are you doing? If you give everything to Nepal, what are you going to give the other countries? He said, don't worry, man. I'm going to make sure I'm going to keep some characters over there. I'm going to make sure nothing functions there as well.
Yeah.
So I feel that we are inherently blessed by a lot of natural resources and natural strengths, right? Inherent strengths. We just need to capitalize that. You look at a country like Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar in terms of topography, majestic mountains, valleys, etc. It's at a different level because it's got a strong leadership with a long-term, larger vision who are able to do it. Look at Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
What is the population of Singapore? Like 6 million?
That's about it.
Okay. But Singapore was a country which Malaysians said that, okay, guys, you please do your own stuff. That was probably the only country who didn't get captured but were asked to sort of be independent. When Lee Kuan Yew went to Sri Lanka, he said, I want to make Singapore like Sri Lanka.
Mm-hmm.
And Sri Lanka has its own story of getting into a civil war, but look where Singapore is today. Look where some of the most successful countries are today. Okay? There are two aspects of, when I talk to you about Singapore, who do you think of? Lee Kuan Yew, right?
That's
when I
right.
think of Malaysia, who do you think of? Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, right? Or when I talk about other countries,
there's always somebody specific that we think of.
that has really turned around the
country.
And you can think of a lot of names with the different countries, right? But when I talk about Japan, who can you think of?
Right now, when I think of when you talk about Japan, again after World War II, I think about somebody after World War II.
Pretty much no one. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because in Japan, every single individual has a feeling of nationalism that I got to do something.
It's so clean. It's so clean. I think
so
of that.
either all of us individually, and I'm sure to a large extent, and especially I'm happy that the new generation has that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have that feeling that, oh man, I need to do something for my country. I'm seeing that. I'm talking to a younger generation. I'm getting that feeling. But if we really want to put Nepal on that map and to change that balance, what you just talked about from import to export, you need the right leader who understands the inherent strength, potential, and who can execute those plans effectively and efficiently.
A couple of days back, I had a young youth leader on the podcast. And again, we talked for an hour, more than that. And he said, when the old ones will go, then we'll get our turn. That's what he said. I don't know when that is. That's what he said as well. And he also said that internationally, when you look, the old ones step aside after a certain time. But here, it doesn't work that way. That's what he said as well. When will the youth get their chance?
Sanjay, I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. And I've had the same conversation with him. But this is the same thing I told him, right? Yeah. I said, Dai, you being who you are, having such a clear vision of where you want to take our country, you cannot be talking like that. You cannot give hope. Because 50% of our population are below the age of 25.
Yeah.
Who do not understand the generation you're talking about, who understand you. They are your next vote bank. Today, if you see some of the most successful, look at COVID time. The most successful country, okay, which has managed COVID, firstly, most of them are all led by women. Okay, again, a change in the stigma that we've been going through, that women are not leaders or whatever. They are the best leaders. Some of the biggest companies in the world are managed by women. Look at the age group of people. How old is the Prime Minister of Finland today?
33.
Okay. How old? Again, I feel that the newer generation are becoming much, much more agile, much, much more smart. The change is happening so fast. We do not need to wait for another 10 years is what I feel. You look at even a neighboring country like India. Yes, you have a stout statesman like Narendra Modi, right? But he himself is bringing in a lot of youth who are now coming up. A country like India, okay, definitely needs a little bit more handholding. But you look at other countries, you'll see a huge paradigm shift and a transformational change already happening. In 5 years, if I were to talk to you again, you're like, wow, it just didn't take 20 more years.
Yeah.
We can already see visible change. And I feel the same thing's going to happen in our country as well. We just need more and more people to believe in it, more and more you to have patience, that they are and they will be able to make a difference here.
When you run your company, the biggest company in this country, what kind of advisors do you have? What kind of young people do you have? Let's talk about that. When you are running your own company, what kind of people do you have working for you?
So,
how do you pick them as well?
Yeah. So, the founder of a company can either be the biggest bottleneck or can be the biggest lifeline to your company. Okay.
Okay.
So luckily I had my boss, the founder of the company, who made sure that I spent 10 years trying to prove myself, one business after another. And till the time he got comfort that, forget about the group, maybe let me give him that independence to choose his team, pick his team, and do it so that he can move on to the next business. And once I started doing that, let's say in CG, 15 years ago, our attrition rate was 28%.
Okay.
Today is 4%. 15 years ago, the number of women working in our company was 21%. Today it's 43%. 15 years ago, the median age of people working in CG was 57, 56.
Okay.
Today it's 34, 33. And it's only going to get low. It's only going to get, with the entry of the Gen Y and the Gen X, it's only going to get, the mean is only going to get lower and lower. I really got that chance to choose my team. And, so what would happen was that if I had again, people in our group are fantastic, but they had if they wanted to move up to that speed, that when you have the railgadi Sullivan, you have a lot of nuts and bolts, right?
Of course.
The railgadi speed won't stop. So when the nuts and bolts don't tighten up, what will happen? They go flying away, right?
All over the place.
So I said either you join and move in my speed, or I need to work with people who will be able to move with my speed. Because if I'm here to deliver something, I need to do that. Your experience and your wisdom is great, but the level of energy I need, the level of broad thinking I need new blood coming in. And I was able to get some of the most successful companies run by 30-year-old kids, including myself.
Yeah.
I had at one point 5 CEOs below the age of 35. Unheard of. But because my chairman of my company said, it's your call. I'm just interested in the result.
Just pick your own team.
Pick your own team. How do I do that?
Yeah.
Frankly speaking, we have a really good HR department. They're very good at the HR management, HR development. How do I pick my team? I don't remember the last time I read a CV. I look at a person, I meet the person, or mostly and always someone who I'm recruiting at the head of the company. I spend some time, preferably offline, out of the office, and I just have conversation about life, about things which you don't normally ask in interviews. And I try to understand that person's perspective, that person's honesty. Okay. Skills is something which you can learn.
Yeah.
Integrity, honesty, and hardworking is built in. I'm looking always for that. My job is to put the right person at the right place. Once I've done that, I give him the independence of choosing his own team. Believe it or not, half the time in CG, like a lot of times organizations are cutting people, removing people, this, that. We are pushing people to say, recruit more, succession planning. The notion 10 years ago that, if I get someone younger than me to come up, my chair is going to go.
Yeah.
That notion doesn't exist in CG anymore. Because the culture that has come on is, if I'm able to groom that person and bring it to my level, then I can go up.
Move up. Yeah.
Okay, I can move up. And the thing is that CG is not a company that's stagnant. We are building every day. We are just getting warmed up, right? There is going to be a huge range of opportunities for me.
How much is CG worth at the moment?
To me, priceless.
Yeah, of course. Of course. If we put a number, if we put a dollar figure, how much is it worth?
I don't know. I think Forbes, takes it about 2 billion.
2 billion at the moment?
I think that's what some other reports say is a little higher. Someone says a little lower. Someone, when I ask us, for example, we say 2.5 billion or 3 billion, for example.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're doing a study, we're doing this. You're from Nepal, the country risk is D. Chop off the valuation, enterprise value by 30%.
Okay, so that's how it works?
That's how it works. You look at various factors, transparency in your company, your enterprise value, your cash flows, your country risk, the countries you're operating in. So for us, imagine we went into Sri Lanka when the Sri Lankans were leaving. We went into Northeast when Indians didn't want to go to Northeast India. Yeah. We went into Bangladesh when Bangladeshis were leaving. We went into Serbia and all where there was no interest of that East Europe culture coming in. So we're like going into countries where, which has got a Moody's rating of a C, D. But for us, that's where the opportunity is.
This is 2021. How does 2030 look? Let's not even go far. How does 2030 look?
2030, so in terms of number, it'll be difficult for me to tell you. Although I have a total clarity in my head.
I'm sure you know exactly how much it's going to be, give or take.
But let me tell you this thing. So today we have, 15 years ago we had 84 companies.
Yeah.
We've consolidated and restructured it to 15 verticals now. In 15 verticals, we have 3 core competencies, which is FMCG, hospitality, and financial services. 2030, I feel our core competence will be FMCG.
Okay.
It'll be energy and it'll be telecommunications.
How does it work? How does it work with you, Rahul Dai and Varun Dai? If you could just explain it.
Sure. So for us, irrespective of, so we are one family. We share an excellent relations, touch wood. Our responsibilities are very different. So we have 15 verticals within the group. So I look after 11 of them.
All right.
Plus the foundation. Now foundation, even Varun and Rahul are also getting involved and even their wives are getting involved. And that's something as a family we took a decision. Varun looks after the FMCG outside of Nepal and Bangladesh. He looks after the FMCG noodles and snacks worldwide. He looks after real estate. He looks after cement. Rahul focuses on hospitality and his venture capital.
He's great at it.
Yeah. Hospitality is his baby. He just works on that. The rest is me.
So much that you have to deal with every single day. Every single day. We talked about this earlier. I'm sure a lot of...
So much what to deal with.
So many things that you have going on, replying back to emails, talking to people. We talked about this way earlier. Off air, we talked about it. Again, management of time. A lot of young entrepreneurs right now, or a lot of young people are like, I can't even manage this. I can't even manage that. It's a true fact. A lot of people are like, I can't do this. I can't do that. And I'm sure you've got thousands of things that you're doing constantly, on the phone. How do you manage all these things?
So simple. It's so simple. Okay, forget about that entire priority thing and all of that. Once you've got that figured out, surround yourself with people who can do that job better than you. Focus on your strengths. Identify if someone can do a job better than me in my company, I have no ego. We're all working towards a purpose for the growth of my company. I'm going to give him the responsibility of doing it. So I'm focusing on my strength. I'm focusing on things that I'm good at. Surround yourself with, they always say you're a sum of 4 people you always associate yourself with. Surround yourself with winners. I'll give you asked a question about HR and all that stuff. How do I get the best people in CG? For example, I need a good sales head. I always tell my best sales head to find me one. Because he's always hanging around with the best guys.
No doubt.
So you are a sum of the 4 people you always associate yourself with, number 1. Number 2, in any big corporation, any unicorn business, and any great idea, there's not always been a single person. Yes, you hear of Steve Jobs, but he had his Steve Wozniak and all these guys who were doing the technology stuff for him. He was the marketing guru. Yes, we hear of Bill Gates, but he had 3 other guys who were working with him on different areas. Yes, we hear of Jack Ma, but with Jack Ma, there were 12 other founders with him over there. Okay? So always make sure that you collaborate with people who complement the strength that you do not possess. Where 1 + 1 is equal to 11. If you and I today are supposed to do a business, we both are good in sales, there won't be any synergy. We might accelerate that, but then we need functions for finance, for accounts, etc., etc. So always collaborate and identify people with diversified skills and get them to a team. That's what a leader does. Putting the right skill sets together, the right formula together, so that your end product is just perfect.
That's amazing. I love talking to you. When you talk to so much energy, so much charisma. What motivates you every morning? When you get up in the morning, what tells you that this is what I'm going to do? What's your drive? What's your one drive that you have every day?
Purpose. I told you. My purpose is that today, the only way I can make a difference by giving back to our community, by making a difference through our foundation, is by growing my company. That's what drives me. That's what my purpose is. I want to drive my company to such a level. And again, we have done relatively okay, but there's so much more we need to do from our foundation's perspective. Right? That's what drives me. That's what my purpose is. My purpose is that today I've got 2 wonderful kids. I want them. They're the ones who are going to be telling stories of me.
Of course.
They're the ones who are going to be remembering things of what we did today. They're the ones who are going to be the torchbearers taking and making our country into a better country, a better nation tomorrow. If we do not instill those values and that drive and that things we do daily into them, which impacts them today, what are they going to do tomorrow? That's what drives me. It's creating that change you want to see. The purpose of making a difference to our community. If you ask me, what do you want to do in life? I have 2 goals, very simple.
What are those 2?
Number 1, I want to start my 2 dream project, which I thought I'm going to achieve by 2030, but looks like I'm going to achieve sooner. Is number 1 is I want to set up a university, a business school named after my father, School of Entrepreneurship, as a tribute to him. My personal goal, I'm telling you, not my companies or my family, etc. And the second thing is, I really, really want to set up the most a world-class children's hospital in the name of my mother. Today, apart from our group's philanthropic initiatives, I have my own personal foundation that I run, named after my parents. And that only focuses on 3 things. Number 1, it focuses on supporting orphanages. Secondly, it focuses on providing education scholarships to children. Third thing it focuses on is children, especially below the age of 12, who do not have the means or medium or money to get their operations done, or some diseases they want, or infections, or anything, I get it operated. But again, there's a limit to how much me individually I can do.
Of course.
So that's why I want to set up an institution under my mother's name where even the rich guys can send their kids, or parents with an inadequate economic value to also send them for free. But there, to make it sustainable, it's going to be a children's hospital for everyone. And I'm already working on it, and it looks like it might come. It might come
way sooner.
Way sooner. And I'm a firm believer of karma. Okay, that when you've got your mind set on something which has a exponential purpose or drive, which can make a difference to people's lives, it's amazing how the world works towards in your favor. How tuck things start coming. Right? To me, in 2010, I was in a different stage in my life, man. I was in a really, really bad phase.
2010? What happened at that time?
I'll tell you about it, but that's when I found my guru. And since then till now, life is transformed, man. It's just smile all the way. It's just positive vibes all the way. It's just positive energy all the way. Okay, don't look back. Learn, move on. Just keep making a difference. Just keep doing what you're doing with your heart and your soul. Just keep doing what you're best at. Every day sleep that I've not hurt anyone, I've made a difference, and I'm going to do more tomorrow. I'm going to learn from today, I'm going to do more tomorrow. Boom, boom, boom. Time. You're all here for a limited amount of time. What you go out when you leave this earth, what you've done in this time, how you've impacted people's lives, that's what really is going to count. It's not how many YY packets you've sold.
Never, never, ever. What I've started doing is I've started removing people, especially during this COVID time last year. Negativity, people who share negative information. We are on our phones all the time. People who share negative things, or people who share fake news, or people who go ahead and talk about things that you don't want to even read. What I started doing was I started block deleting them. I just said, all right, I'm going to remove all these people. Started meditating more. That has changed my life and my lifestyle as well. Small things that you do in your life are going to make big differences, like what you just said, and karma plays a big role in it as well. You do good, good is going to happen to you. 2010, what really happened at that time?
Well, I was in this, I guess it's a phase everyone goes through. I was in this phase where I just, the road, I could see the road, but I could not see where I'm going. Okay. I could see that I was living each day, but I did not know what my purpose was. I did not know why I was doing this, what I was doing, the way I was doing. There was no clarity in my life. There was no marbles in my jar at that time. It was a very chaotic time in my life, maybe because of age, maybe because of my environment, maybe because it was meant to happen. And I don't regret a single day
It happened
during that time. Because if those things wouldn't have happened then, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So yeah, if your ECG is not up and down, if it's flat, then you're dead, right?
Yeah, you're finished.
So that's the beauty of life. But the things I've learned because of those incidents in my life, again, I'm saying it at a macro level. I'm not specifically saying, generally, generalizing it. Some downs, some lows, some highs. But at that time, I was just like lost. And my guru just appeared. And my guru, who I feel is everything to me, Sri Ravi Shankar, founder of Art of Living, he came into my life, and it's all smiles after that.
Everything's changed.
Everything is changed for the best.
For the best and the
And
better.
what really changed
Yeah.
was perspective. Perspective. Your narrative. Your attitude. That's it. If I was talking to someone else if I was looking at some negative comments, I would react.
Yeah.
Now what do? Delete,
Or
don't look, or look at it as a positive criticism and move on. Perspectives have changed. Maybe that's you becoming more matured as well, gaining more wisdom as well. No regrets. Personal life, family life, must have had some incidents. No hard feelings. You've learned from that to become a better man today.
Yeah. Times are tough for a lot of people at the moment, for a lot of, not just entrepreneurs, for a lot of people. Because of COVID, it has been tough. Mental health is very, very important, like what we were just talking about, right? It's amazing that in 2010, you got the reflection as well. For now, for a lot of people who are watching at the moment, what's the mantra? What's the mantra? According to Nirvana Chaudhary, what's the mantra?
The mantra is stop blaming others.
Yeah.
Do a introspection on yourself. The fact that you are seeing this show means you're already in a position of strength. You're already someone who is the 1% who've got. Okay, the fact that you're watching your show.
Yeah.
Sanjay's audience is that 1%. Okay, who's already got everything. Be grateful for what you have. Do an introspection. Think big, start small. Yeah. Small habits will get you step by step into what you want to become. Engage your mind into positivity. Negative, inconsequent, ignore, no time. Do not be driven by guilt. Oh man, I'm getting into depression. Oh man, I did this wrong. Screw it. Learn, move on. Time. Respect time, time will respect you. Health. we guys were taking our health for granted, man. Especially even you and me.
Yeah.
Remember the times we're like,
Of course.
going out and having blah, sure, nothing wrong. But we need to balance it out with healthy lifestyle, healthy living. Spend time with family. Start doing things that really, really, really enjoy, man. Remember the times when you're growing up, you wanted to go, hiking or wanted to listen to music, watch movies, do that.
Yeah.
Don't just spend day and night into making money. Sure, it's important, but give a good balance. What will happen is, it's like a glass of, muddy water. Our life has become so chaotic. We can't even see through the glass. Meditate. Prioritize your life. Calm down. Let the mud sink in. You'll see the water so clear to the other side. Don't give up hope. Honesty and hard work, man, it's a matter of time. You're going to get where you are. That's the law of nature. That's the law of karma. Period. You're honest. You're hardworking. Okay. You're not going to give up. You're so convinced and passionate about your dream. With a little bit of luck, you'll get there faster. But don't give up.
Keep at it. I want to talk about the podcast right at the end. Let's tell everybody about the podcast. You started the podcast 10 weeks ago?
Yeah, so I did. You know what happened was Sanjay.
I want to hear about it, yeah.
Okay, so this is the thing, right? So, the social media the only social media that I'm active on is Instagram.
Instagram,
Okay,
yeah.
I have whatever's on the Instagram. My office sort of manages my Facebook, my LinkedIn, Twitter, all of that, right? I really Instagram, the power of one photo, to me is more. It's so much more profounding. So much more profound than someone writing a one page about describing that. So I love being on Instagram. So I realized that I'm meeting such amazing people. In difficult times like this, I'm listening to people. I'm like, hey man, it's a difficult time, but what are you doing? And they're like, you know what? This is what we are doing. That's how we're doing. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That one word, that one experience they share with me, and I'm like, boom. Man, you've just got me into a positive drive now. You just changed my attitude, you just changed my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You've just changed the narrative of the entire situation of what my mind is going through.
Yeah.
So I said, if it has such an impact on me, why don't I share that with whoever wants to see my podcast? And how difficult is it? I have a mobile phone. I have a recording device there. It's built in my phone. Press the record, have a conversation, ask the questions, what you asked earlier. Let them share it there. Jazz it up with a little bit of background music.
Yeah.
Upload it. Khalas, finished. You're done, Habibi.
I loved it. I loved it. I was listening to it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel I'm blessed, and we should all be so grateful and blessed for meeting amazing people around us. Okay? Only then that positivity gets you to meet more and more amazing people.
Yeah.
I guess everyone is amazing. You just got to bring out the best side of them. So whenever I'm meeting people, and I love meeting new people. I love, I travel. And I started this 10 weeks ago, and then I realized, wow. Sanjay just asked me, you met Bill Gates, you met Jack Ma, you met Warren Buffett, you met blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've got access, and I've been fortunate to meet these people. How about I document what I've asked them in a podcast? Because maybe, hundreds, thousands of people will be able to benefit from that. You look at this guy who was running in a seashore, beach, and every time the waves came, there was a live seashell that was coming on the beach.
Yeah.
This guy was running and picking one and throwing it back in the water, because if it stayed dry land, it would die, right? But every wave coming in, there were hundreds and thousands of live seashells. Okay, but he was picking one, throwing it back on. This philosopher came. I said, man, what are you doing? What difference is it going to make? He picks up one live seashell and says, it makes a difference to this one, my friend.
Yeah.
So to me also, whoever's listening to a podcast, even if one guy gets it, one person gets it, my job is done.
Your job is done. No shadow of a doubt in that. It's called Making It Bigger podcast. Make sure that you guys find it on you're on all platforms, right? Spotify, Apple,
I guess so,
everywhere,
yeah.
all platforms. Make sure that you find it.
But this is not a marketing.
No. I want to make sure that I market it out. Make sure that you listen to every one of it. I have, and you should as well. The latest one was with Nims Purja. Who's coming
From
next?
from the heart. And I wanted to. I guess especially people in our generation, our attention span is so short. For me, at least, looking from my own experience, I cannot pay attention to something more than 10 minutes. So I wanted to make a podcast for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a 10-minute podcast, and I just try to capture one or two things from there, maybe three things. But again, there's no specific person or a plan that I have. It's just some voice that comes to my head saying, okay, you're meeting him tomorrow for a meeting. Why don't you just do this? Okay.
Yeah.
Some voice from somewhere
Some
comes.
voice from somewhere comes.
And that voice is called listening to your gut and your heart.
Nirvana, I love you. I adore you. I've known you for a long time and I've always looked up to you. Thank you very much for coming over. Thank you very much for doing this. And more power to you. More power to your brand. And again, karma. Good karma. Good positive vibes all the way.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for inviting me to your show. It's one of a kind. Again, a good leader always has that kind of a dream and takes that risk, that first mover's advantage. And you've got that. I really hope in days to come, you keep coming up with innovative new shows, products, continuously keep reinventing yourself. And I know you're going to do well. I'm extremely proud of the things you're doing, man. And thank you so much for inviting me here, bro.
Thank you very much, Zah. Thank you very much for all the advice. I love you. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe. See ya, everybody.
If you love what we are doing, make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications.
This program is brought to you by Vyas Studios.